Nate Maddox here, Ptpgroups. I have been working with a lot of new agents. Get your business up and running, working on the fundamentals. One of the biggest things that keeps coming up is, how do I know what to write? This will just be a quick how-to guide of what you need to be thinking about in different situations. If you're new and you're following the trail to the sale, then you're already kind of planting that seed with the client when you're going through your intro saying, hey, I've got a team of product specialists on standby. I'm just going to get a quick snapshot of your situation. That way we can narrow down from 40 different insurance companies down to one or two, figure out who has the best rate for you and kind of point you in the right direction, let you design whatever you want from then. And I'll do everything in my power to help you get approved and make sure you set things up the way that you want for your family. So you already know that. You also hopefully have already familiarized yourself with step 3 of the trail to sale, the client worksheet. I'll link a video to that above. And you are practicing filling out different client worksheets and thinking about different situations. This person has cancer. This person had a heart attack, diabetes, lupus, whatever it is. And you're trying to figure out, how you would decide which company to write, who would approve them, who has the best rate, kind of practicing running quotes, logging into those websites, filling out the electronic applications for different carriers. All right, so this is dealing with what to write when in mortgage protection. So the first thing that you're going to go one of two ways. You're either going to go towards the term life series. Each of our carriers has a different simplified issue term life product if someone can qualify. Now, usually it's going to be their age is going to be the first determining factor. Or if they cannot qualify for term, then you're going to look at whole life. Now, this is also marketed as and referred to often as final expense. So these are products that people that are older, so the determining factor will be age and health. Age and health, or age or health. Okay. Whole life products are going to be a little more expensive, but they're going to cover people up to even age 80, sometimes age 85. They'll cover people that have had cancer, who have had a stroke, heart attack in over 2 years. The underwriting's a lot more lenient, but because they're older and because it is whole life and the insurance companies are going to pay out indefinitely whenever they die, the prices are more and the coverage is less, which, hey, if they would have called us when they were 30 years old and healthy, they wouldn't be in this situation. But we're just looking at what to write when and knowing kind of which product grid to look at. There's product grids, underwriting grids on the website, which we'll look at in a moment. You're either going to go towards a term or you're going to go towards a whole life. Look at carrier resources on our marketing partners website, Equus Financial, and you'll get more information on all of that. Okay. So if they're under, let's say 65 for sure, most likely you're going to want to start seeing if there's any options for term. Now, if someone's older, if they're older than 70, you shouldn't be able to write them a term at all. We do have some products that you could still do like a 10 or 15-year term, but a lot of times when someone's older, it's better to go whole life. That way, if they have a 30-year mortgage, no matter what, they're taken care of. Let's say that, it looks like they will be able to go to term, then you're going to, from one of the terms, you're going to go to all of the different options that we have available, like Mutual of Omaha, Term Life Express, TLE, or Foresters, Strong Foundation, SF1, or Americo, or American Amicable, or CFG, or one of the many other carriers that we have under carrier resources. Okay. If you feel like they can probably get a term, then you will go to ptpgroups.info team resources page, right? And you're going to scroll down, make sure you've already registered for our conference if we have one coming up. That way you can be ahead of the curve. But let's see here. Agent tools, new business. You're going to select this, then go to underwriting tools. Hopefully you already have these downloaded and you don't even have to get online to do them. Okay, so these are the top, 6 or so most competitive carriers. Whatever if they're within the age limits of being able to potentially qualify for a term, you'll go through here and dissect out their actual health problems. Let's say someone has lupus, right? So you'll go down to L, lupus. Okay. So is it discoid or is it systemic? If it's systemic, it's pretty much a decline across the board. If it's discoid, hey, there's 3 or 4 companies that would approve that. Or if it's, had a heart attack, some carriers have time limits on how long it's been since a heart attack for term. Most of them are going to be a decline. In that case, for instance, if it's a heart attack, you're usually going to have to go whole life. Most of the whole life, and these are the whole life quick grid, most of the whole life carriers are going to have what a 2-year waiting period. If they've had a heart attack in over 2 years, you can pretty much write them a preferred rate under that program. So this will be kind of your first split in the road. You're either going to go term or you're going to go whole life. The final expense carriers are going to be for older and sicker clients. Of course, if you send myself or your manager a client worksheet, we're going to tell you exactly who to write. But I know a lot of you, in speaking with you, getting up and started, you're kind of trying to at least figure out the basics yourself, and I encourage you to do so for sure. So term life, once as you get to step 4 of the trail to the sale, which is draw it out, this is where you would present options. Pretty much we always do the same thing. Say it's a $150,000 mortgage, okay? Well, then we'll show them option one usually will be, full mortgage plus, right? So we'll run a $150,000 quote plus accidental. So say, hey, this one, if anything happens to you anytime soon, or if it's due to an accident, man, it'll pay off the whole house and leaving another $150,000 um, uh, and leave another $150,000 left over. If something happens to you later in life, well, then, hey, they're still going to get $150,000. They'll be able to pay off the rest of the mortgage and have the rest of the money left over. So this one's kind of overkill. This one's like, $200 a month, right? Option two is the basic mortgage protection. And that's where we take the full amount, in this case, say 150,000, okay? You'll run a quote for 75,000 and then check the box that says add accidental, which means they get $150,000 accidental. Now, most people are healthy now. They're young as they'll ever be, but they're healthy now. Like for me, I'm healthy. I feel like if I were to die anytime soon, that it's probably not going to be anything due to my health. I don't have health problems. Like you have to have health problems to die of something health related. If I died anytime soon, probably going to be something unexpected, which means immediately, if anything happens in the first, 5, 10 years of my mortgage, logically, it'll probably be an accident, car wreck, something that has nothing to do with my health, in which case we'll pay off the full mortgage. Now, if I owe 150 now, and I'm 40 years old, well, then I'll be 70 years old by the time it's paid for, right? If it's a 30-year mortgage. Well, that is dropping to zero over the next 30 years. So if anything happens in this area, in this time frame, probably going to be accidental, which would pay the full 150,000. If something happens later in life, then it's still going to pay 75,000. But we've been paying down on the mortgage all that time. So if something happens later in life, it's still going to kick in $75,000 and pay off the rest of the mortgage, probably pay the rest of the mortgage off and leave money left over. So hope that makes sense. That's just a quick tidbit. There's more, we dig more into that in step 4 of trail to the sale, draw it out. So those are some things to think about if someone's young, healthy enough to get a term. If you have to go the other direction, if you have to go towards whole life or final expense, usually they're older, they're sick, whatever. So we're more so talking about this is the program that we use for an equity conservation plan. That's the concept, equity conservation plan. In which case, for instance, if we look at Nick and Cindy here, we'll say that Nick even though he's 60, he may have some health issues that would keep him from being able to get a term for 20 years or whatever the case. Okay. However, Nick makes $4,000 a month. Cindy only makes $1,500 a month, and they got a $1,000 mortgage payment. So if Nick dies, Cindy is going to go from $5,500 a month cash flow into the household to $1,500 a month. She wouldn't be able to make her mortgage payment. You've already been through all that. So how do you fix this problem? Okay. Problem is right now, when he dies, she's going to have a tough time making that mortgage payment. Now, in their situation, they just refinanced a $124,000 mortgage. The value of the house is worth $224,000. So already they've got $100,000 of equity. Now, the bank knows exactly how much equity you have in your house, I have in my house, everything they have a lien on, right? So if they see that you're dead, Nick, and they see even $50,000 worth of equity in that home, much less 100,000, 150,000, right? You already have 100,000. Depending on how long you live, how many payments you make between now and age, if you stretch this out 30 years, between now and age 90, okay, there will be somewhere between 100,000 and $225,000 worth of equity in your house. Now, when you die and they see 100,000 or 50,000 or 150,000, whatever, what do you think their next move is at the bank? Well, they've got paperwork ready, but as long as this mortgage payment continues to be made, there's nothing they can do. Okay. So we just have to make sure there's no situation that could ever happen to where when you die, Cindy won't have enough money to make the mortgage payment. So that's why in your situation, having had a heart attack lately or whatever his situation is, okay, I'll help you do whatever you want, but I don't think it's going to make sense for us to go and try to get, $150,000 at age 60 having cancer or whatever his case is. So, what most people do in this situation is look at an equity conservation plan. Now, when you're explaining options to people, don't tell them what it is. They're not insurance agents. Tell them what it does. Tell them what it does for them in their situation. Okay. So, equity conservation plan, we can set that up to where there's a couple different options. I'll give you guys some different ideas here. Option one pays 1 full year. All right. So, this will make sure whenever something happens to you, hopefully a long time from now, right, Nick, that Cindy, you will get a tax-free check with enough money. Now you can do whatever you want to with that tax-free check. It's in your name. Doesn't go to the bank, it goes directly to you. But it's for the purpose of, and what I would recommend, at that time when we speak, I'll say, hey, take this money, put it into a savings account, put it on auto pay to Rocket Mortgage, and make sure the wolves are at bay, right? There's nothing that can happen. You've got at least a full year, 2 years, however you guys design this, before you ever have to pull out of your pocket, out of your $1,500 and try to figure out how to make a mortgage payment. That gives you time to figure out, hey, how much equity do I have in the house? Do I want to sell the house? Do I even want to live in this house without Nick? Do I want to have to do all the maintenance here? A lot of times people want to downsize or move somewhere else. So that makes sure all of the equity when you sell the house right now already $100,000. There could be 150,000. There's going to be somewhere between 100,000 and a quarter million here, depending on how long we live, how many payments we make, right? But that's going to make sure that all of that equity is safe, that you have plenty of time to get the house ready for sale, put it on the market, and sell it for what you actually want to sell it for, and you get all of the equity. Not that you lose the house because you have trouble paying all of your other bills plus the mortgage payment. So we can stretch that out as long as you want to, but with your health, what we can get approved for, Nick, looks like 1 full year, which we need at least 1 full year. That would be about $89.50. So you would run these quotes, with final expense carriers, Transamerica, whatever you have access to for CVS. That's the best. CVS, Ascendo CVS. Okay. So you would run these quotes with them, figure these out. How you're getting this number is you're going to take their mortgage payment, 984 in this case, times 12. That's 1 full year mortgage payments. Okay. So times 12, then you'll do it times 18 months. And we'll say that's 138, 40. And we'll say this one is 210 a month. Okay. So no matter what, she'll have enough money to pay the next full year mortgage payments or the next year and a half. Okay. Which, hey, that might not sound like a lot, but I have literally seen that other 6 months make all the difference in the world to a family. Now, if accidental, if it has nothing to do with your health or pre-existing conditions and you die in a car wreck or something like that, then it's going to double. She'd have enough money to pay 2 full years of mortgage payments or 3 or 4 full years. So that's 1 full year, year and a half, 2 full years. Which one of these makes the most sense? Which one of these would fit best in the budget if we can get approved for it? So that's just a little tidbit, quick pro tip, things to think about. I really encourage you to go through your leads, fill out the client worksheets, go through the mental process of kind of running quotes, making it make sense because we get paid to solve people's problems and help it make sense to them. Tell them what it does. Tell them what it does for them and tell them in their own words what it does for them. Work on your craft. Become an absolute pro at what you do. And we'll see you on the leaderboards.